If your copy is starting to sound a little dull and lifeless, like an overcooked piece of cod, you need to spice it up with some sense-stimulating details. Hi there, it's Nancy Tierney from Firecracker and I have a quick tip for you today on how to spice up your copy with details and dump those kind of broad, vague terms and words and phrases that nobody can relate to and nobody really even wants to read. And I know that you have seen phrases and words like this. Lord knows I have every day. Working as a copywriter, things like transform your life, follow your dreams, find your own authentic way, overcome your obstacles. And the problems with these phrases is they're so overused and vague and conceptual that they really don't mean anything. They don't really describe anything, and they're boring. So how can we put a stop to broad and boring copy? Add details. And here's what I mean. I'm going to show you an example. Actually, two examples. You tell me which of these phrases is more engaging to you. The glass fell off the table, hit the floor, and broke. Phrase one. Phrase two. The icy beer stein slid off the greasy bar and shattered into 1,000 glimmering shards as it hit the cement floor. Well, I don't know about you, but number two just creates an image in your head. It has a more visceral pull. It wakes up the brain and it engages more of the senses. And it's fun to read. It's not boring, all right? Okay, so here are two ways that you can add some details to your copy. Swap out adjectives for what I call a story snippet. And here's what I mean. There's a phrase like, I was flat broke. Another way to say that would be, I lived on nothing but top ramen and raw cabbage. I refused to turn my heat up higher than 50 degrees, and I asked every friend and even my ex for a loan just so I could pay my rent. See, instead of a blanket statement like broke, using the term broke to describe, you're actually creating the details of what it looks like to be broke. And that really adds so much richness and pull to your copy. Now, you don't want to do this all the time or you're going to have a 300-page novel instead of a one-page email. But just when you need some little pizzazz, when you really want to bring people into the emotion of what you're talking about, add a story snippet instead of just using one-word adjective. So the second way to add some more detail is to replace those broad conceptual kind of vague statements with some image-evoking details. So a phrase I see a lot is something like, what is it? Oh, do you feel that you're meant for more? I mean, that's a phrase that's, what does that mean? You know, more of what? Another one I see is, come into your own authentic power. You know, that's so broad and conceptual, it doesn't evoke anything in your reader. I understand what you're trying to say with those kinds of phrases, but instead of saying, do you feel you were meant for more? How about saying, do you see yourself speaking in front of sold out seminars and consistently earning 5 figures every month by working with clients who are eager to pay your top fees? Now, those details make that reality a lot more alive in the mind. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're going like, wow, well, won't that make my copy a lot longer? Yeah, it will, just for that phrase. That phrase is going to be longer, but don't be afraid of making your copy longer if you're making it more engaging. You don't want to make it longer and more boring, but if you are more engaging by adding those details, do it. And like any spice, you don't want to overdo it because you'll ruin it. You're right. It'll just be too much. People aren't going to want to read all those details after another and another and another. You just got to add it when you need some zip and zing in your copy. So there you go. 2 ways for you to add some details and really zip up your copy a little bit. One way is to add those story snippets. Replace just a blanket adjective with some story snippets that tells the story. And the other way is to really replace those broad, vague phrases that don't mean anything with specifics, specific details that show what you're trying to describe. Okay? Have fun with those, and I'll see you next time. Bye.